welcome. This is the news on NTA International. I am Dennis Adigunlui. Thanks for joining us. The headlines. Arrangements in top gear ahead of formal declaration by UNESCO General Assembly to endorse the establishment of the Category 2 Media and Information Literacy Institute in Nigeria as Information Minister visits the UN organ. Gabonese go to the polls to elect a new president 19 months after Ali Bongo was ousted, while UK Parliament opens discussion on taking over ownership of British Steel. And federal government denies claims by National Assembly Northeast Caucus of being excluded from the Special Agro-Industrial Processing Zone project. Arrangements have reached an advanced stage ahead of the formal declaration by UNESCO General Assembly to endorse the establishment of the Category 2 Media and Information Literacy Institute in Nigeria. Minister of Information and National Orientation Mohammed Idris was at the UNESCO headquarters in Paris, France, where he assured of Nigeria's readiness and commitment. Salihu Adulahi Gwanara reports.
Like the famous phrase of an American baseball manager, Yogi Berra, it is not over until it is over. That is the best way to describe the struggle by the Nigerian government desirous to actualize its plan to host the Media and Information Literacy Institute. This struggle began from the 2022 UNESCO Global Media and Information Literacy Week, hosted by Nigeria and subsequently endorsed by the resolution of the 216th session of the UNESCO Executive Board in May 2023. The current administration has inherited this cause with financial and infrastructure commitment to ensure seamless takeoff of the institute in Nigeria. The minister is not also relenting in engaging relevant stakeholders before the official confirmation of Nigeria's status to host the Media and Information Literacy Institute ahead of the UNESCO General Assembly that will be held in October 2024.
It's a worldwide institute, and this is the first time that the world is doing this, and it's going to be really very great that Nigeria is hosting it. Secondly, there is also the prospect of looking at the MIL cities, the Media Information Literacy cities. About 20 countries around the world have indicated interest to pilot this. And so we have also come here to express the readiness of Nigeria to have the Media Information Literacy City in Abuja, the first one in Africa. This will also go a long way in helping not just the young ones, everyone in the country to be more aware about the dangers of fake news.
So this is the concept, the idea or the concept of an MIL city. It's a city, it's an urban space that promotes media and information literacy, also among adults, not only the youth and pupils and students.
Nigeria had also played host to members of the UNESCO feasibility team, where they compare notes after reviewing Nigeria's proposal on the infrastructure provided for the takeoff of the institute.
It's a big deal for us at a time that this administration is carrying out a number of reforms to reposition Nigeria. We thought that this MIL Institute, if finally approved by the General Committee of UNESCO, will put Nigeria on a very great pedestal.
This is a final analysis and assessment of the process that started since 2 years now. The Honorable Minister has already and always reiterating the commitment of the government and Mr. President, His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu, by providing all the necessary resources we need for this.
As a government image promoter, he reaffirmed the government's unrelenting efforts to guarantee press freedom and restore trust and credibility to government communications in Nigeria, and called for global support in the fight against fake news and disinformation. In Paris, France, Salihu Abdullahi Gwanara, NTA News.
19 months after the coup that ousted Gabonese President Ali Bongo, presidential elections of votes in a new president opened on Saturday morning in Libreville and other parts of the country. Kolo Mohammed has details.
Over 900,000 eligible voters queued from early morning to cast their ballots in the presidential election, expected to vote in a new president to lead the oil-rich nation. Gabon's transitional head and front-runner candidate, Nguema, says the presidential election process is transparent.
Si il est transparent, il est apaisé, il est transparent. Il est là, il y a des observateurs.
Speaking to reporters after voting in the capital Libreville, Gabonese call for focus on jobs as they vote. The election was expected to make junta chief Nguema the country's first elected president after his 2023 coup. On the whole, citizens expect the new leader to promote employment for the youth. Alain Claude Bilba Inze, the former Prime Minister of Gabon until 2023 coup d'etat and now an opposition candidate in Gabon's presidential election, also cast his vote.
On est toujours serein après un vote, mais après vous savez qu'au Gabon tout se déroule convenablement la journée et c'est le sort au dépouillement qui a des problèmes. On verra ce que ça va donner aujourd'hui.
He said elections in Gabon are smooth during the day. It's in the evening, during the vote counting, that problems arise. He hopes that things remain objective, smooth, and fair. Vote collection and counting begins soon after the close of voting. The final results are expected on Monday. Kolo Mohammed, NTA News.
British Business Minister Jonathan Reynolds says the state's taking over ownership of British Steel remains on the table, but that partnership with the private sector remains a target. Here again is Kolo Mohammed with details.
As the UK Parliament sits on a rare recall from recess, members are meeting to discuss emergency legislation aimed at taking control of a struggling Chinese-owned British steel plant. Reynolds says a transfer of ownership of the plant to the state remains on the table and that it may well at this stage, given the behavior of the company, be the likely option.
Our aspirations for British Steel remain a co-investment agreement with a private sector partner to secure that long-term transformation. The action I seek to take today is not a magic wand or a panacea. The state cannot fund the long-term transformation of British Steel itself, nor would it want to do so.
Members of Parliament have returned from recess to discuss a draft bill which will allow the Labour administration to take measures to prevent the plant's imminent closure with thousands of jobs at stake. In other news, in the nuclear Iran and US talks, Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Abragi says his country seeks a fair and honorable deal with the United States from equal position. He said if the United States come from the same position, then hopefully there will be a chance for an initial understanding that will lead to a path of credible negotiations. Kolo Mohammed, NTA News.
The federal government has denied the claim made by the Northeast Caucus of the National Assembly that states in the region have been excluded from the Special Agro-Industrial Processing Zone project. Abubakar Kyari, the Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, said that only 3 out of the 6 states in the Northeast have expressed interest in participating in the project. Musa Aliu has details.
The concept of the Special Agro-Industrial Processing Zone project was first developed in 2019. The initiative's first phase was launched in 2022 with financial support from the African Development Bank, the Islamic Development Bank, International Fund for Agricultural Development, among other financial institutions.
It is solely the discretion of the state to participate or not. And we have cases where states have not expressed interest.
As at 2022, only 8 states, Kano, Kaduna, Kwara, Oyo, Ogun, Imo, Cross River, and the Federal Capital Territory met the established criteria to participate.
Upon receipt of the expression of interest, a joint team comprising the Federal Ministry of Agriculture, Federal Ministry of Finance, and the Development Finance institutions conducted a mission to each of the states to verify the fulfillment of the eligibility criteria as a selection process.
In the second phase of the program, 27 states expressed interest, but only 10 met the criteria. Among these, 3 states from the northeast, Gombe, Borno and Bauchi.
So the sweeping statement by the caucus that the Northeast was completely excluded is not correct. We are also confident that most states will do the needful to fulfill the eligibility criteria to enable us capture them in the second tranche funding of the phase 2. I therefore also want to appeal to the legislators, especially from the Northeast National Assembly caucus, to appeal to the other governors of the Northeast, namely Taraba, Yobe, and Adamawa, to reinvigorate their interest in the program and to ensure they fulfill the eligibility criteria for the second phase.
The minister stated that in addition to the SAPZ program, the federal government has provided targeted support for farmers in the Northeast and across the country. Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
Director General, Bureau of Public Procurement, Adebowale Adedokun, has read the Riot Act to procurement officers, promising to hold accountable any officer found wanting for misprocurement activities. This was during a meeting between the Director General and directors of procurement departments in various ministries, departments and agencies. Ekene Ndulue reports.
Both capital and recurrent must go through procurement.
Director General, Bureau of Public Procurement, is making it clear that adopting best practices in public procurement will enhance people's trust on government activities and reduce poverty nationwide. This meeting between the regulator and procurement officers is to reflect on past challenges and re-strategize for implementation of the 2025 budget. Adebowale Adedokun is sending a warning that it is no longer business as usual, and officers found culpable in shady practices will be held liable.
The change has come that we will hold you accountable for any misprocurement that you cannot provide evidence that you guided them correctly, but you were turned down.
We are trying to see if there are other sources of income that you cannot explain. So somebody might come and tell me that it's a gift that he received. But then there is a code that says you are not supposed to receive gifts from contractors.
The implementation of procurement policies in the 2025 budget is especially critical as it aligns with Mr. President's Renew Hope agenda. We seek to ensure seamless processes, accountability, and value for money.
From all indications, the Bureau will be conducting periodic trainings for all cadres of procurement officers on best procurement practices as they work towards changing the narrative around execution of public projects. In Abuja, Ekene Ndulue, NTA News.
President Bola Tinubu has congratulated Felix Moka, the National Publicity Secretary of the ruling All Progressives Congress APC, as he turned 60.
Mr. Morka, a renowned human rights lawyer, urban development specialist, and founder of the Social and Economic Rights Action Center, CIRAC. His distinguished career also includes his role as a former legal director of the Civil Liberties Organization, CLO. He is now the chairman designate of the board of the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA. The president joined the leadership and members of the APC as well as Morka's family, friends and associates in celebrating this milestone birthday of a committed party stalwart and strategic thinker. In a statement by Bayo Onanuga, Special Advisor on Media and Strategy to President Tinubu, the President acknowledges Mr. Morka's crucial contribution to advancing the APC's communication and publicity effort and profoundly values his unwavering dedication. He commended Mr. Morka for articulating and effectively communicating the party's vision, policies and achievements, noting that his intellectual acumen and steadfast commitment has significantly projected the APC public enlightenment positively as Mr. Moka prepares to embark on his additional role as board chairman of NTA. President Tinubu expresses confidence in his ability to provide the leadership necessary to transform the national broadcaster and usher in a new era of high-quality content across all its channels. The president prays for God's blessings upon Mr. Moka and his family and wishes him many years of good health, wisdom, and exemplary service to the nation.
Watching the news on NTA International, we'll take a short break. More reports in a moment. Stay with us. Welcome back. The national chairman of the governing All Progressives Congress, Dr. Abdullahi Umar Ganduje, on behalf of the National Working Committee of the party, congratulates the National Publicity Secretary of the party, Felix Moka, on his 60th birthday. In a statement signed by his chief Press Secretary Edwin Olofu, Dr. Ganduje described Moka as a committed party stalwart and a distinguished public communicator whose unwavering dedication and service have immensely contributed to the image, growth and developments of the APC. The statement further says Felix Moka is a pillar of strength and integrity with the party and prayed for continued good health, wisdom and many more years of impactful service to the party and the nation. Well, as we've been saying, today is the 60th birthday of one of the figures in Nigeria's constitutional democracy, a distinguished lawyer and strategic communicator, Felix Moka. Abubakar Akwanga takes us through the profile of the celebrants, who is the National Publicity Secretary of the APC and also doubles as the board chairman of the Nigerian Television Authority.
Born on the 12th of April 1965 in Ika local government area of Delta State, South Nigeria, Felix Moka traversed through the walls of the pre-primary and post-primary education and later climaxed his academic sojourn as a trained Harvard lawyer. Felix Moka was also the senior special assistant on legal and constitutional matters to the former deputy president of the Senate, Ovie Omo Agege. His political profile keeps rising at the level of party politics as the incumbent National Publicity Secretary of the governing All Progressives Congress, APC. Moka has consistently performed his job with deep knowledge and an unbiased approach to national issues, with respect to constructive criticism of the opposition voice and professional in dealing with issues driven by sentiment and unverifiable sources. The National Publicity Secretary of the governing All Progressives Congress is also the board chairman of the largest television network in Africa, the Nigerian Television Authority, an appointment approved by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on the 28th of March 2025 to raise the bar of the NTA high amongst global competitors in the broadcast ecosystem. The Director General and Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian Television Authority, Malan Saliu Abdul Hamid Dembos, management and the entire staff of the corporate organization felicitate with its board chairman Felix Moka and wish him a more rewarding and exceptional career as he continues to offer himself for selfless service to the nation and humanity. In Abuja, Abubakar Akwanga, NTA News.
Talking health now, in another milestone in Nigeria's fight against cancer, the National Institute for Cancer Research and Treatments, NICRAT, has launched a 5-day training under the Strengthening Institution Capacity for Cancer Research and Implementation, also known as the SINCAR project. Uche Ugochukwu reports that the training aims to fix the lack of institutional research capacity, which is a gap in the country's cancer response.
Poor research data, limited research funding and shortage of trained researchers hamper Nigerians' response to the reported over 120,000 new cases of cancer and nearly 80,000 deaths annually. This workshop, the second phase of the SINCAR project, is therefore tailored to help researchers and institutions bridge the divide between research findings and actionable solutions.
It will interest you to know that the SINCA project is structured in 3 phases. The first is the assessment of institutional capacity. The second, the capacity training phase, which is what we are currently doing here. And the third will be grant provision phase that will support research implementation across the country.
The team also revised the trend of over 70% of cancer patients in Nigeria being diagnosed at late stages by equipping participants with the tools to drive local research, influence prevention strategies, and secure competitive grants.
My expectation after this capacity building is to be actively involved in collaborative research with NICRAT, Federal Ministry of Health, and all the organizers of this particular workshop.
There were some gray areas in the areas of research which one was not conversant with before, but now with this workshop, it has really helped in improved. It has improved those areas, those gray areas, that I was not conversant with.
The SINCA training provides Nigeria the opportunity to start generating homegrown evidence and influence global research conversations that will transform cancer research into tangible public health outcomes. Uche Ugochukwu, NTA News.
The National Council on Climate Change Secretariat has conducted an engagements with stakeholders from the South-South region of Nigeria with the primary objective of gathering essential data for the development of Nigeria's Biennial Transparency Report 2, BR2, and the National Communication 4, NC4. Charles Alpha reports that data will be collected and will be crucial for Nigeria to accurately measure and report its efforts in mitigating global temperature rises through greenhouse gas emission reduction, as mandated by the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate, UNFCCC. The successful submission of these reports is also vital for Nigeria to access funding from the UNFCCC, which will support the strengthening of the nation's resilience, adaptation, and mitigation strategies against climate change.
The country needs youth, but I think that most still have quite some effort to put in to be able to be in line with the country as a signatory party.
Several, climate change related forms that are available for this process: adaptation process, mitigation action, transiting to renewable energy, clean energy, all of that.
It's a bottom-up approach, which means the local government, the subnational and the state government inputs priorities has to be built into the report.
They are taking us through on how to make sure that there's transparency, so that all our documents will be highly workable when the national community.
Coming here is just to sensitize them, build their capacity, and also get them properly equipped for this report.
The Secretariat will extend this preparatory process to engage stakeholders from the northern region of Nigeria to ensure comprehensive BTR2 and NC4 for submission in 2026. Let's now get a check on Sunday's weather prospects. That concludes the news on NTA International. Thanks for watching. I am Dennis Adigunloye.